Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pet Food Puzzle Guy. I'm Glenn, and I just want to say that people have been asking me to review Fromm pet food for quite a while now. So finally, I sat down and did it, and I went to their website and I called them, got some nutritional data, and I going to run through it. And you know me, I always have to compare it to some other diets. Any diet's nutrients will look fine until you compare them to others to really get the full picture. So we're going to look at from their different product lines. Then we'll look at comparing what I thought was their best diet, as far as I'm concerned, with IMES and Pro Plan and Blue Buffalo. So look at the four of them together. Again, I think it's helpful to get a good picture of the different companies and quality and all that. So I hope this will satisfy all of you that have been asking for this review for a long time. And you notice I am wearing a Missouri River Paddlers hat. You cannot buy these. You have to earn these. And today, October 28th, when I'm recording this, is my 44th anniversary of canoeing the entire length of the Missouri River from Three Forks, Montana, down to St. Louis, Missouri. We did it in 1979. I was 19 years old. Four of us, four friends, did it. We were crazy kids, had no idea what we were up against or up to, and we left July 30th, and 91 days later we reached St. Louis, and it's a great story. But anyway, there is a group out there, and the way you earn this hat is if you're somebody that's canoed the entire length of the Missouri River, you get one of these hats. So there's only about, I think, like maybe 200 of these in the world, and I'm very proud of my hat, and I still have my river paddle, my canoe paddle from the trip. That's all that's survived besides me. And anyway, so that's just a little bit about me, but I'm celebrating today since it's a 44-year anniversary. So enough about that. Let's get into taking a look at Fromm. Okay, so the first thing I'll tell you about Fromm Family Pet Food is that it's a company that you just you have to love. I mean, it's a American success story, fifth generation family-owned business. I mean, I went to their website just to do a little research, and I just found myself researching more and more. Just a really cool. One, it's neat that they have such a history of their whole family. That's really cool. I wish I had that on mine. But there's pictures and everything, and it's just a company that you want to just cheer for. Okay, so now that aside, of course, I have to be objective and just look at the nutrients, and I will do that. But I just want to tell you that it is a pretty neat story. It is kind of funny. They actually they went through different farming and stuff like that, but they actually started a fox raising business. They were raising silver foxes actually for fur. And back in the 1920s and 30s, of course, that was big business. And so that's how they actually got started. And maybe if I can find the advertisement again, when they came out with dog food, they said it's something that thousands of fox and dogs can't be wrong. And so I'll try to put that ad up here. But so that's an interesting start. Kind of reminds me of Paul Imes. He started making mink food, and it was the guard dogs that were guarding the mink farms, whatever, that would eat the food, and they had nice shiny coats and all, and that's really what started the Eukanuba line, and him switching into dog food, and believing dogs were carnivores. But it was a mink background for him, and it looks like it was a fox background for Fromm, and I didn't know that. So it's a pretty interesting story. If you're into history and family success stories, you should check it out. And to this day, it's still family owned. So if you don't like big companies because they're big and evil and all that, which I don't really totally agree with, but you can feel good about this family, that's for sure. So enough about that. Their nutritionist back in the 1940s was a man. Now I'm going to forget his name here. Dr. Willard Roberts, that was his name, and brilliant guy. And it's kind of funny. The 1940s, there were just a lot of brilliant people. So much was they came up with the distemper vaccination. I did not know the Fromm family had a connection to that, but they came up with that for the fox first. So this guy was pretty brilliant, and he was kind of the main brain behind the formulations and stuff like that. And 1949, I mean, that's when he came out with the first dog diet, I believe, if I have my facts straight. And it was in 1948 that Dr. Mark Morris from Hill's Pet Nutrition came out with the first prescription diet, KD. So at a time when people weren't, just feeding scraps to dogs, there were some brilliant people out there doing some amazing work, and we have the benefit of that today. But anyway, just interesting that all these brilliant people around the 1940s. But so they came out with their classic line, or their original line, and then they added to that. Let me just make sure I get the name straight here. So today, Fromm has three lines. There is the classic line, which is really pretty much the original formula that they had probably back in the 70s, something like that. Then they have their 4-star line, and that's more of a lots of different varieties, pork and applesauce and all these kind of varieties, where if you're somebody who likes to switch around in different flavors, you can feed this line and the nutrient levels are all the same. That's how I understood that. And that's pretty cool if that's what you're into. And then they came out with their gold line, which was at their 50-year anniversary of their original, and they came out with a gold line that's very popular out there as well. So I was really curious. What are, I took a classic adult, I took the 4-star adult pork and applesauce, which sounds great, and they're a gold adult. And I was just curious, again, me, I try to avoid the marketing, avoid even the feel-good stuff of this family tradition, all this other stuff. Show me the nutrients. That's what matters to my pet the most. So we're going to look at classic, 4-star, and gold in their adult formula and see what the nutrient levels are. Okay, now what I want you to do, we're going to put the nutrient levels up here, and I want you to know there are lots of numbers up there, but I want you to first, please just stick with me, look at the protein levels. That's on top. So you see classic is 7.2 grams per 100 kcals. Okay, so I'm measuring on a per calorie basis, not doing the percentages and all that other stuff. 4-star comes in at 7.6, so it's basically the same. And then we have gold at 7.5. So the protein levels are pretty much the same in all three of these diets. If we look at now the calcium and phosphorus. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, this is our test. This is if they're using high quality meat sources, then the calcium and phosphorus can be restricted, which is just healthier for the dog, especially as they age, okay? Same would be true with cats. So when you see a low protein number, but then a real high mineral content, what is that telling you? That meat source is really low quality. It has bone, hair, hoof, feathers, chicken lips, as I like to say. I mean, dirt, whatever. It's just a low quality, and the excess mineral levels reveal that. So when we look at these three diets, we look at classic, 320 milligrams of calcium, 290 in phosphorus, okay? And we're going to compare that later to other diets so you can see how good or bad that is. And sodium is 90 milligrams. The 4-star, we see it's inching up now. We're up to 380 milligrams of calcium, and the phosphorus goes up to 310. Now, in my philosophy or my understanding is that when you start picking out different ingredients that you want to put in the diet, well, guess what? Every ingredient is delivering a nutrient. So even though pork and applesauce sounds wonderful, it's actually giving me a little more minerals than their classic diet. So is that terrible? It goes up to 110 milligrams in sodium. If you have a normal, healthy dog that is just blessed with good genetics, it's not that big a deal, okay? Let's go to gold. And gold is, again, their anniversary line that they came out with. And we see, okay, we're inching up even more now. Now we see the calcium's up to 400 milligrams. The phosphorus is up to 320. That's the highest within their lines. And the sodium drops to 80. So, again, not a big difference, but it is kind of interesting. Remember what I said in the last video of what brand was that? Oh, Blue Buffalo. We looked at their original Blue Buffalo or their fancy wilderness, their high-end, high-protein, and their Life Protection, the one that's just kind of mediocre. And the Life Protection actually had a better nutrient profile. We kind of see the same thing here. I would prefer the classic for my dog, okay, especially as they're getting older. I'd rather get that restricted mineral content than the higher levels, especially in the gold. It's kind of interesting. I went to their website and looked at, shopping for the largest size bag. And you can see, because all the numbers are there, I'm sure you've seen all this already, but it's $1.56 a pound for the classic, which I actually prefer. I just think it's a healthier diet here. The 4-star with all those nice, neat, different ingredients, well, guess what? You're going to pay for that. And that goes up to $2.46 a pound. So that's almost an extra dollar a pound, so almost double. And then the gold, interestingly enough, even though it's gold, which sounds like the top of the line, that came in at $1.96 a pound. So, I looked at the calorie count was pretty much the same across all three. So there's not a big difference there. So that's kind of interesting. So I didn't know how it was going to go with Fromm. Again, I love their heritage. I love their beginnings. Their website is great, very informative. They list ingredients, and then you can click on the ingredient and see the benefit of that ingredient, which I think is really great, because sometimes, why is there wheat? What do you get from barley? There's ingredients in there that you don't really, it's not like meat and animal fat, stuff like that. So anyway, I love their website. I did not find any misleading marketing in their website, which was really refreshing. And I did find one really interesting thing that, let me find it and I'll post it up here. Okay, I found this on their website, and I really love this. And this sounds, remember, this is in 1990 that their head guy, the head nutritionist, Dr. Willard Roberts, wrote this, and it's on their website, dated 1990. And basically, they came out with a new formula, and basically his quote is, "More isn't better, better is better." And he's talking about protein. Now, again, this is 1990, and this is right out of Hill's playbook. I'd been there for 4 or 5 years by the time 1990, well, 2 years, two or 3 years. And this is what Hill's has been preaching, and Dr. Mark Morris started this back in the 1948 with KD, that more protein is not better. And that's 1990. Here we are in 2023, and what do we see? What are the pet food marketers telling us? We have more protein than anybody else. Animal protein is all that matters. Protein, protein, protein. And here's this guy, as brilliant as Dr. Morris was back in his day, saying, no, more is not better, better is better. And what he really says in here is that his diets are much more balanced, which again is the key word. You're making a complete balanced diet. You're not just throwing amino acids or protein. And having it's more the quality of the protein versus the quantity of the protein. And when we say quality, I know for the marketers have you thinking, oh, quality protein is meat protein, fresh meat, blah, blah, blah. No, quality means the amino acids delivered in a healthy way with the whole balance of the diet. So the quality protein might actually be increasing much more egg protein in that diet, because we need to increase the amino acids but reduce the mineral content. So this guy is right on board. So I do love that. The problem, and this is, all this good stuff I've been saying, and I'm going to show you the comparison of all the diets now. But the problem is all of these diets from Fromm, including Classic, are listed all life stage. And basically, you know what that means. It means that it's puppy food. One of my subscribers just put on, we were talking, and he said, yeah, look at Fromm, it's puppy food. And he's right. And that's the disappointing part. So I know many foods out there say for all life stages. You all know my position on it. You can watch Dr. Ray's videos. She does a great job of explaining it better than I do. But you really don't want an all life stage food, because it's not optimal. If it's delivering the nutrients for a growing 8-week-old puppy or a pregnant mom, you don't want to be feeding that to your 10, 11-year-old dog. The nutrient needs are so totally different. So yes, these mineral levels, all these nutrient levels are going to be somewhat excessive. So here is where on the website they explain that many of their diets are formulated for all life stages. And they explain that means you can feed it to any life stage. But then at the bottom of the paragraph there, I don't know if you can read it or not, it says, but you may have a case where you have a growing puppy or an overweight dog or whatever, where they need a specific life stage food. And that sounds great. But when you go to one of those foods that they list, sure enough, what you find is it says that it's good for growth and maintenance. So there is definitely a consistency there, definitely a what I feel is a lapse in optimal nutrition. What can I say? I'm not going to feed puppy food to my adult dog. So that's the only problem I have with this food. So again, let's go and compare it to some other foods, just see how good or bad Fromm is, okay? Okay, I know you're all going to jump ahead, but here's a classic, which we decided was the best of their lines, health-wise. Here's Imes, Pro Plan Adult, and Blue Buffalo. This is Blue Buffalo Wilderness. And if you look across the board, the protein levels pretty consistent until we get to Blue Buffalo with the high protein, because again, that's the name of the game these days. But look at the calcium and phosphorus. This is kind of interesting, at least I find it interesting. There's Classic next to Imes. Not a big difference there between Imes and Classic. And look at the price per pound. So it's kind of interesting. I would not have put Imes and Fromm Classic on the same level as far as price and basic nutrient levels, but they're pretty darn close. So that was surprising. And there's Pro Plan. Now that's supposed to be the better food, the more premium, professional, whatever. And what do we find? Just, it's kind of interesting. It's not anything stellar compared to the Imes and Classic, but you're going to pay more than $1 a pound more. So again, we go back to that bias where we all think, well, these are premium and these are just grocery and these are da-da-da. Got to look at the nutrients, guys. And when I do these videos, I'm learning as just a little behind you. I just did this last night. It's really interesting to see how they compare. So Pro Plan really I would not put as a winner between those three. Then we add Blue Buffalo, and Blue Buffalo, I mean, I hate using them as the poster child of excessive and bad marketing, or effective marketing, depends how you look at it. But look at the calcium and phosphorus level in their food, higher than anybody else, and yet they're the most expensive at $2.79 a pound on Chewy. So it's really just a good example, again, of how we think how good these diets are. And remember, this is just the basics. I'm not looking at every single nutrient level. I'm just looking at, can we decide, is this food company interested in nutrition and controlling nutrients, and are they using quality ingredients? And since meat seems to be the big thing everybody's all hung up on, that's fine. Look at the mineral content to see if that meat quality is there, or the protein quality. So again, Blue Buffalo would definitely not win in the health contest here. And if you're being a little cost conscious, definitely I'm looking at Imes and Fromm. And I know, as I say Imes and Fromm in the same sentence, some of you that love Fromm are saying, oh my goodness, I wouldn't compare those two. My bias wants to say, because the Fromm family, I'm so impressed with it, and their website was just really encouraging and all. And they may use better ingredients, maybe they do, but the nutrient levels tell the story. Okay, the nutrients are what's going to affect your pet's health, not you feeling good about the company or feeling good about these ingredients or whatever. Based on the nutrient levels, I don't see a big difference between Imes and Fromm Classic here. And again, I would not feed the others from Fromm, because they're more expensive and the mineral levels get higher. Now again, I'm sure there's people out there that are saying, hey, I feed Fromm Gold. I believe the Gold is actually their most popular brand. It may do great for most animals. I'm just looking at, again, I'm the health guy that, was trained by vets and lived with vets for 34 years. So I'm always looking at what's the healthiest. Lots of food will produce great skin and coat, and the dogs love it, and their energy level is great, and their stool is perfect, and blah, blah, blah. Plenty of diets can do that. So I'm the guy just saying, okay, that's great. What about keeping my dog healthy and reducing the risk of disease? That's why I look at these nutrients. So you may not get hung up on this as much as I am. I'm just trying to show you, and then that's why I put the costs, because people are spending gobs of money on diets thinking they're doing the best for their pet. I mean, again, Blue Buffalo, I'm sure the people buying Blue Buffalo just think that stuff is the best thing since sliced bread. And every time we've included it in a comparison, it ends up being the one that looks bad to make the others look good. And I guess I'm doing that on purpose. But so bottom line, what do I want to say? I think Fromm is a great product for the price. Yes, it's higher than I would like in certain nutrients. That's why it's you can feed it to a puppy. But when I compare it to all these other diets, it's right within range of what I could see people feeling is a great diet. And if you're feeding from any of those others that are a little higher in nutrient levels, hey, if your dog's doing great, what I would recommend, and I recommend this to everybody, I just did it with both my dogs, get a senior blood panel when they hit about 7 years of age, if they're a giant breed, a little earlier maybe. But see how their internal organs are doing. If kidneys and everything are doing good, stay on the diet you're on. You're doing fine. But just know as they age, every year or two, do a blood panel and see. And when those blood values start changing, then it's time to say, okay, you know what? I know these nutrients aren't perfect. Now I need to look at a senior food or something else. So again, it's up to you, deciding what you want to feed and how much you want to spend. So I hope that was helpful, and happy autumn, and we'll see you guys next time.